Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Jonathan Voico's here.
Good morning.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show goes. We're going to start off by talking about a few predetermined topics that we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, well, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to address, and as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on our show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Send it on in there, and we'll get around to answering in the second part of the show. But here's the good news. The tip link is also good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're listening to this podcast a little bit later in the day on our podcast feed, say on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or maybe you're watching this show a little bit later on YouTube when we're not live, you can still use the tip link to send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, I'm going to kind of off script here a little bit. I want to start off with this. As you guys know, any of you guys have been following the news, there's like these major fires going on in Los Angeles. Like 400,000 people are under evacuation warning, and a lot of people have been losing their homes. And, you know, we went off yesterday on a number of lists of actors that we all know that have already lost their homes. This one hit a little bit more close home to me. This Is Us star, award-nominated actor Milo Ventimiglia, and his pregnant wife, who I think she's due in just the next couple of days, lost their home in Malibu, and just their house just completely burned down. Now, I've got a bit of a, you guys know, a bit of a connection to Milo. He is the one who introduced me to my wife. It was at an event that I was throwing for him and one of his projects, and Anne was there because he invited her to be there, and that's where we met. And yeah, I will always be completely in debt to Milo, and it was just really sad to hear about that, and so many people losing so much in that fire. You know, I heard that the casualty report's been upgraded, like 10 people have died now.
I think so.
Look, I know this is going to sound weird to say. When you look at the damage, and you look and you see the images of the before and after of what neighborhoods, like, those have been all over the news. Like, here's what the neighborhood looked like 3 days ago. Right. Here's what it is now. It looks like, you know, a bomb went off or something. I'm amazed when you look at the destruction that there's only been 10 casualties.
Yeah,
I think that speaks a lot to like firefighters and emergency responders, their ability to get people out and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of credit goes to the citizens too, because they actually took the evacuate warning seriously, you know, and they did. Yeah.
So anyway, just our thoughts and well wishes out to everybody, in our personal case to Milo and his upcoming family, and to everybody else there who's dealing with that as well. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into the reason we're all here, shall we? To talk about some movie, TV, entertainment news. We're going to start off with this. You know, it used to be not that many years ago, that the idea of appearing in a comic book film was kind of seen as a last resort, bottom of the barrel for actors to do. Today, it's much more in style. Almost every major actor has done a role or is going to be doing a role in a comic book film. But it's also pretty interesting when you see somebody who's about to be nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards is saying, they want to be in the new X-Men. And that's what happened here. You guys might have heard that Wicked star Cynthia Erivo, while she was on the red carpet at an awards ceremony, she was asked specifically about something she'd like to do next. And she specifically called out X-Men. She said this: I really want to play Storm. Remember, this is a woman who's about to get a Best Actress at the Academy Awards nomination. Anyway, I really want to play Storm. I know it sounds frivolous, but I don't think we've uncovered how grand she is and all of the inner turmoil that she has. So I think there's a world in which we could do something like that. Okay. Of course, Ray, before the show started, said, yeah, I could see Storm flying away and going, oh, like turning an X-Men into a musical or something like that. But I do want to comment on a couple of things here. One, it is not often during the award season and these actors and actresses who are getting the biggest, most major nominations, when confronted and say, like, what would you like to sink your teeth into next? Saying, I want to do a comic book movie. I want to do X-Men. I want to do Avengers, or I want to do Justice League, or something like that. Like, you don't often hear that. Because right now, Cynthia Erivo, the world is kind of just laid out in front of her right now, right? She's winning a bunch of awards. She's getting nominated for all of them. I don't think she's going to win the Oscar, but she's going to get nominated for Best Actress. And she can really, at this point, call out anything. She can call out any project she's got on her heart. Anything she wants to do, she can call that out right now. And she's got a pretty decent chance of getting it. So I think it speaks a lot about where the genre is as a whole, that, you know, the upcoming Best Actress nominated actress is calling out, oh, what do I want to do next? I want to do X-Men. I want to be Storm. Now, let me talk for a second about her comments here. When she says, I think there's a lot to uncover about how grand she is in her inner turmoil. I do want to remind her that she won't be writing a new X-Men movie. Right? So it's like, what you're talking about here sounds like something you'd like to write. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can go and write that. There's that. How would I feel about a Cynthia Erivo starring as Storm? I think there's an age issue, because I think they're going to be skewing a little bit younger for the X-Men. If not, then that's not a problem.
Unless she's one of the elder, like...
Yeah, maybe they're going to create... Like, I have a feeling they're going to be getting to the original X-Men, but maybe yes, maybe no. That's all fine. If they're not skewing younger, then that's perfectly fine. Then she's great. I have a feeling they're skewing younger, so maybe she's a little bit aged out of it. I would also say this. Anytime you add talent, it's a good thing. It would also bring a lot of eyeballs onto the new X-Men project, that you're going to get something like Cynthia Erivo, you know, star of one of the hottest movies of the year, going to be one of the stars of one of the hottest movies next year, or this coming year, 2025, when Wicked 2 comes out. And she's about to get her name called out at the Academy Awards for being nominated for Best Actress. That's a good thing too. My only hesitations are, most of the stuff I've watched Cynthia Erivo in has either been in a smaller supporting capacity or in a musical. She clearly kills it when you give her a role in a musical. I mean, that's beyond question. That's not even up for debate. That's not a question. You're a moron if you don't recognize that. But I haven't seen, even though she's got a pretty long list of credits, I don't think I've seen her in enough. I mean, there was Harriet, but other than that, I don't think I've seen her in enough to know whether or not she can like carry that role. I'm going to go out on a limb right now and probably assume she can, but that's one of my little minor hesitations. My other hesitation comes from her ability to handle it. Because I think Wicked, while she's a huge star on stage, I don't think she's ever been as accustomed to having as much of the spotlight and as many cameras pointed at her as when she was about to star in Wicked. And we saw that pressure got to her when she had that huge freak outbreak over the fact that somebody made a fan art.
There's going to be a lot of Marvel fan art, so she's got to get used to that.
She damn well better understand that if you want to play Storm, you think there was fan art for Wicked? Oh heavens. Oh no. You haven't seen anything yet. If you're Storm, you better be ready for that times 10,000. Everybody's going to be making fan art, right? So,
but they've already started apparently.
There you go. And they clearly have already started. So, I mean, now listen, I was perfectly fine with how she responded to that when she said, you know what? I should have called somebody and talked to somebody before reacting. It's like, that's the absolute 100% right answer. Because, I mean, she clearly let the pressure of the moment get to her. And I'm sure her experience with Wicked is probably conditioned her a little bit more. She's probably grown a little bit more of a thicker skin as a result of all the attention with Wicked and everything like that. But still, I wonder, because she didn't handle the pressure with Wicked all that wonderfully, and maybe she's learned from it. I just don't know how well she'd be able to handle the pressure and the attention and being put under a magnifying glass and everybody talking about her, some positively, some negatively, all that kind of stuff. Is she going to be able to handle that? Time will tell. Time will tell. She certainly did just go through the crucible with Wicked, and there's no replacing experience. And she just did get a pretty big lesson in that going through the Wicked stuff. So I don't know. Now, then that brings us to the question of this. Could there actually be a possibility of her getting cast as Aurora? Well, I mean, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the situation, and she's about to be one of the most famous actresses in the world for the moment with the Academy Award nominations coming up. She's coming off of one of the most popular movies of the year in Wicked, gonna be in one of the most popular movies of the year with Wicked too. And she's a tremendous talent.
And as prominent as Storm was in the Fox movies, I have a feeling Marvel, the importance of this character is times 10 in the MCU.
Well, I mean, because like even if you look in the comics with the Krakoa stuff and all that stuff, like Storm's prominence even in the comics has been growing a lot. Like she's seen as like now as one of the beyond Omega level mutants and all that kind of, like even Magneto. There's a great storyline where she actually went in to rescue Magneto from death and pull him out of the afterlife. Like she's become, the character herself has become incredibly prominent in the comic books.
It feels like she does everything physically that Xavier can't do. Like to mediate things. Like she's the first one to actually, if there's like come to like negotiate and things like that. She's like the one that flies in and tries to
maybe, but there's just, I think there's a lot they can do there with that character and with her prominence in the comics and storylines and stuff like that. And even with her prominence in X-Men 97, I think there's probably an argument to be made here that Storm will probably be as a character more front and center to the X-Men than maybe she had been in the previous Fox iterations.
Oh, I definitely think so.
So you're going to need an actress who can really carry that.
Right.
So that's key. So we'll see how that all kind of turns out.
And in terms of the X-Men, they could that story could run really deep in terms of what's going on with society right now and things like that. So it's not just beyond all the laser eyes and like the controlling weather. There is like a deep story behind that. Oh,
absolutely. And X-Men 97 kind of proved that it can be more relevant today than it even has been in ages past, right? So it's going to be really interesting to see how this turns out. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Award-nominated actress Cynthia Erivo, star of Wicked, who's about to be nominated for an Oscar, is coming out and saying, yeah, my next movie that I really want to do, I want to be an X-Man. I think that speaks volumes about maybe where the anticipation level is for X-Men, but how would you feel if she actually got the role? Do you think maybe she's a little bit aged out of it at this point? Do you think it's something Kevin Feige would actually do? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Guys, I don't know currently what your plans are a few days from now on January 14th. But whatever they are, cancel them. Whatever those plans are, family wedding, fuck off.
Colonoscopies, forget it.
Put them off. Child's birthday, there will be more. Whatever you got planned for January 14th, scrap them, clear your schedule, pick up some drinks, order some food, and get ready to stay home and watch Kraven.
Yes.
Because it has now been announced that Kraven the Hunter is going to hit VOD streaming in 4 days from now. What's that going to be? Tuesday? Is that the 14th? Today's the 10th, 11th, 12th? Yeah, Tuesday. 14th. Tuesday.
We'll stop for abs.
Kraven comes to home video. Employers across the country already getting record numbers of sick day call-ins.
Oh yeah, it's
What are you
crazy.
talking about? It's not even the weekend yet. I know, but I can feel it coming on. I think I'm going to be sick Tuesday, boss. I got to stay home.
I heard the stock market's closed.
They're going to
Banks-
close the
yeah.
stock market, ringing
Banks,
the bell.
Mail. Nope.
Doesn't matter. Everybody's staying home because Kraven is coming to home video.
It's going to test whether we're ready for the GTA 6 release.
It's going to put everybody to their limits. This comes to us from When to Stream, who writes, according to our sources, this has been confirmed, I believe, Sony Pictures is expected to release their action adventure Kraven the Hunter on VOD and digital platforms next week, arriving on January 14th, 2025. After many delays, the film launched in U.S. theaters on December 13th, 2024.
A day which will live in infamy.
Guys, again, a movie that's hitting... Now, it's not on streaming, but it's going to be on digital streaming where you can pay... you can pay to watch this movie.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Again, 1 month. 1 month.
Oh man! In all honesty, I can't wait to see this movie. And I'm not saying that but I've been holding.
Yeah, but you're
off
not
to
gonna
actually
you're not
watch
gonna
it.
do VOD. You're gonna wait for
I'm
it
gonna
to-
actually do my out the living room review.
Straight out of the living room
So,
review reaction to Kraven the
I
Hunter.
know anybody who's been waiting to watch it because they're waiting for my review.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, come on, you
God, I'm, and again, it's another situation where it's again the movie industry is killing itself. The movie industry is killing itself. Again, this whole thing. I mean, look, no one cared about when Kraven comes out, but putting it out 1 month after it was in theaters, the movie industry is continuing to train the audience, to condition the audience to just expect that there's no reason to go to the movies anymore. Just wait a couple weeks. It's now just wait a couple of weeks and it'll be out on home video. Now you can say, yeah, but it's for such a piece of crap movie like Kraven, truly one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I get that. But again, it's just doubling down on the thing that it's, again, just conditioning the audience.
You know,
It's like, don't worry about it, guys. It's just stay at home and just
Even
wait a
if-
few more weeks. It'll be out on home video.
No, you're right, because that it's just one more movie that proves that to be true. And it actually probably would have benefited Kraven if they had waited, because the talk would have simmered, you know? But
Yeah.
it's so in the forefront now of how terrible this movie was that no one's gonna rent this on VOD right now.
well, please pay for it. No, I'm not gonna. Well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe I might be bored. In order to improve,
Drunk.
in order to improve, you have to make mistakes, John. And
True.
So,
So
Sony
we should
made,
look this as an improvement,
Yeah.
as an improving exercise.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Sony's made like 2 or 3 mistakes. Lionsgate has made mistakes the whole year. I mean, come on, with what quality of movies?
Yeah, I mean, look, and I see some people in the live chat like, it's like, oh, so what? Should movie theaters be forced to keep it in theaters? No, that's not the point.
You just don't put it out on
The
VOD.
point is, yeah, even if it leaves theaters, you sit on it and you wait, and then you do a little bit of a marketing push for its VOD release later on. But because when you don't, see, this is the problem with us today. We think we are so short-sighted, and we view things so on such a micro level that it's like, it's not just about what happens with Kraven, it's about what you're conditioning the audience to do with all movies,
Because they expect it.
right? You're hurting your future. Like, forget about Kraven, because it's a lost cause anyway. By doing this with Kraven, you are literally hurting, to a big degree or a small degree, you're hurting your future movies that are coming out. Because when you put out Kraven, you just put it out like literally 4 weeks later. So thanks a lot, Sony, for putting out whatever the new movie is. We don't believe we have to come to the movies to go watch it, because we think in about 3 or 4 weeks you're just going to put it on streaming, because that's what you've been doing with your other movies. Like, we as film fans have to start learning to look at things bigger picture rather than just small little tiny picture that's right in front of us.
Yeah.
And I think this is a mistake. Again, I've been saying this for about a year now. This is the movie industry killing itself. And I think it's going to be a trend that continues to go on, and it's really sucks to see. So just when I thought there was no way for Kraven the Hunter to hurt us anymore, they find a way to damage the industry even more. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you already scheduled Tuesday off so you can stay at home and do a marathon of 6 continuous viewings of Kraven? If so, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? Well, the finale of the first, in a way, we call it a soft launch, of the soft launch of the new DCU, Creature Commandos, has just aired. I was one of these guys where I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm like, they're all right. And then I never got caught back up. I fell behind like 4 or 5 episodes after that. And then a lot of you guys are like, John, it just keeps getting better and better and better. So I finally got all caught up. And then yesterday I watched the finale of the season. So I thought I'd take a minute here to talk about the things that I thought were quite good and the things that I didn't think worked quite as well. So let me talk about things that I thought worked really well. I didn't know how I felt about it at first, but the fact that every episode was a backstory for each character of the show. Other than Flag, actually, like pretty much everybody else other than Flag. And I got to tell you, I really liked it. The GI Robot background story was great. The Bride's background story was great. Particularly Weasels. The Weasel episode broke me. I mean, that seriously broke me. And in a way that I didn't think this stupid character could at all. And that episode broke me. And then the last episode, what was her name? Nina? I think the Aqua Girl. I think her name was Nina. Nina's backstory and the culmination of her story, also really moving, really powerful, really nice. The background story of all the individual characters, I think, was the strongest aspect to the series as a whole. I really did. I thought it was great. Another thing that I loved a lot was, this is more of a modern thing. Creature Commandos is not the first one to do it, but it was so bloody violent. I mean, with shows like The Boys and Invincible and stuff like that, it's not new.
Yeah, we've already kind of seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it. It's not new, but it fit perfectly.
Yeah.
Right? It fit perfectly.
Especially when the bride is involved, oddly enough.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of body gore.
When the bride is involved, a lot. And you know what's also really neat? The thing that I liked about their treatment of each individual character, they never try to paint them as heroes, other than Nina.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even when you go back and you look at Dr. Phosphorus's background story, like, what a tragedy. But then he becomes a murderous dick. Like, he killed children. So there's James Gunn is not afraid to live in the gray, right? He's not afraid to live in the gray, which I thought was really interesting. And like, even GI Robot, where is friend Nina? I would very much like to kill more Nazis with her.
Right.
So that whole handling of characters, and really at the end of it, the best thing about stories and the best movies are when they're about great characters. And they did such a wonderful job with that, and I thought it was great. Another thing that I ended up loving, and I didn't think I would after the first 2 episodes, the music. I ended up loving the music. Like in the first episode or 2, because I don't know the name of the band that they used.
Bordello.
Is that what the name of it is?
Gogol
that
Bordello.
very gypsy-like kind of music. At first, I didn't know if it was hidden with me, but then it just fit so well with the show that every time they would play one of the songs, I would literally turn on the subtitles so I could read the lyrics of the songs, because I just found it actually ended up really great. I love the finale. I mean, to a degree, I won't, for those of you who haven't watched it yet, I won't say the ultimate ending of it, but they did something that I didn't think they would do. And I ended up really liking it. And then they set up season 2 pretty well, or at least
seemingly.
They didn't set up season 2. They just set the table that here we go. We can have a season 2.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't end the season like the way Supernatural would end their seasons. The season would end with them wrapping up that season's storyline. And then like the last 10 or 15 minutes of the final episode of the season, introducing the story for next season. They didn't do that with Creature Commandos. They just ended the story and then just kind of set it up. Well, here, Now we're really ready to go for whatever the next adventure might be. But they didn't set up whatever that next adventure is. And I think that was the right way to do it. I also love David Harbour's Frankenstein.
He did a great accent too. He really hid that he was David Harbour.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't think I would like David Harbour's voice as that, and I don't know why. Maybe this was irrational, but I was like, isn't this a little on the nose? He was already Hellboy, and now he's going to be this and whatever. But you know what? I ended up loving his voice match with the character. At first, I wasn't sure, but I actually ended up really liking, and I even liked his background story about how he got found by the old gypsy woman and all that kind of stuff. I ended up really liking. Again, not a good character, not a good guy by any stretch, but
it almost had like he was doing like an Adam West take on the voice.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it.
It worked for me. Some of the things I didn't like. The story, aside from the backgrounds of the characters, the main story with whatever the name of that country was.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Really simplistic and kind of obvious. And like, that's the weird thing about Creature Commandos. The main story really wasn't that good.
No, it was the backstories that saved
it was the backstories of the individual characters that really carried the show. And I think if they had come up with like a great main story, and I think James Gunn would probably argue the main point of the show was the characters.
Yeah.
I respect that. I do. I'm just saying, if you also could have put in a great main story to go with that incredible background stuff you were doing, I think this could have been a really exceptional show. Like, really exceptional show. Overall, though, I quite enjoyed it. I really did. I liked the series. I love the characters. I will definitely tune in and check out season 2. Here's what I would say about Creature Commandos. If I'm going to compare it to a contemporary show that goes along with it, let's compare it to Invincible for a moment. I would say Creature Commandos is definitively better than Invincible season 2. Not quite as good as Invincible season 1. That's how I would and that might not even be a fair comparison, but I think I enjoyed season 1 of Invincible a little bit more than Creature Commandos, but I definitely enjoyed Creature Commandos way more than I enjoyed season 2 of Invincible, if that makes any sense. But all I'll say is this: if this is the type of character work and background and story that we can expect, and emotion to go with bonkers action, if this is the type of thing we can expect from James Gunn's DCU, this is a pretty good start. And I'm super excited to see what we're going to get with Superman. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you watch Creature Commandos? If so, what did you think about it? How do you think it compares to more contemporary, like superhero animated stuff that's out there? Maybe you thought it was the greatest thing ever. Maybe you didn't like it at all. Whatever you thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this, shall we? Yesterday, I won't say what for, but me and Jeff Snyder were on a call yesterday afternoon with one or two other people. And we were talking about some stuff. And Jeff let me know, hey, a little bit later today in my new newsletter, I'm releasing the news about who's replacing Ray Stevenson in Ahsoka. And I'm like, who is it? He goes, I shouldn't say right now, but I'm going to release it in my newsletter later. I'm like, dude, my show's done for the day. I got nobody to tell. Come on. Tell me who it's going to be. So it's a guy who played the Hound in Game of Thrones, Rory McCann. I'm like, really? And I was so stoked about it. Then sure enough, later that night, Jeff Snyder put this out in his InSnyder newsletter. And then the Hollywood Reporter ran with it. And then all the major trades ran with it. And yeah, it's a big thing. Rory McCann of Knuckles and Game of Thrones, the Hound in Game of Thrones. And from what I understand, I didn't know this initially. I've been reading some of the other trades that he and Ray Stevenson were really close friends.
Huh.
And one of the outlets, I can't confirm the validity of this, but one of the outlets wrote that Ray Stevenson's widow gave her approval for Rory to take on the role. To pick up the role of Ahsoka. This comes us from the folks over at Comic Book Movie who wrote, first reported by Jeff Snyder and later confirmed by The Hollywood Reporter, Scottish actor Rory McCann, best known for playing the Hound on HBO's Game of Thrones, is set to take over the role as Skoll in season 2 of the Disney Plus Star Wars series Ahsoka. Stevenson, who sadly died back in May of 2023, just before his 58th birthday, played the villainous former Jedi in the series, and the finale featured his last scene as the character, as we see the powerful Force wielder standing on the ruins of a mountain-sized sculpture of the Mortis gods. And of course, like, when Ray Stevenson died, we were all like, devastated. He's such a great presence in everything he did, but it was also so sad that happened right before Ahsoka came out. And I think the reason that is particularly sad was not because we don't get to see more of him in the role, but because people who liked the Ahsoka series and people who didn't like the Ahsoka series all thought he was awesome in it. He was. I'll have this debate with anybody. Ray Stevenson was the best part of that show. And I think people who love this series, I think a lot of people who love the series would agree with that. And I think a lot of people who didn't love the series would agree with that. He was the best part of the show.
Yeah.
And the way, the power in which he spoke, the subdued confidence. There was something about that. He wasn't one of these villains that's, I'm going to kill you. It was the calm tone that made him so terrifying. And he was so great in the role. And I think for me, the saddest part of him passing away before the series came out was he missed out on, I think, all the love he would have got from people for his role in that. Again, I think from people who both liked the show and people like me who didn't really like the show. He was incredible in it. And I remember it became a topic of conversation, as it has been around Hollywood lately. It's like, what do you do with a character if the actor portraying that character passes away? Is the right thing to do to write the character off, like they did with T'Challa in Black Panther? Or is the right thing to do to honor the character and honor the actor who brought the character that far by recasting it with another great performer to carry on for them? Like they did with Thunderbolt Ross, also in Marvel. You know, William Hurt passed away, one of the great actors of generations. And so what did they do? Did they just write off the character? No, they went out and got another great actor in Harrison Ford to carry that character on for William Hurt. And that was the way to go. And I think there was a lot of discussion going around at the time about what are they going to do with Ray Stevenson's character. And so I think they have absolutely made the right decision. And at least as far as making the decision to recast the role and carry on with the role, I also kind of love who they picked. I really didn't have, I mean, we played the guessing game about who, you remember this last year, like who could pick up this role for Ray Stevenson, and a lot of names got thrown around. I don't think Rory McCann's name was one of those names that got thrown around.
No.
But you know what?
He's going to eat all the chickens.
Eat all the, any more words, come here, I'm going to eat all the chicken. He's great. He's great. I didn't like the Knuckles series at all, but I liked it when he was on screen. And the fact that if those other trades are correct and saying that actually him and Ray Stevenson were really good friends and all that kind of stuff, then it makes it even more appropriate. So yeah. I like the casting. I got to say, I like it. I'm not excited about, listen, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be facetious. I'm not excited for Ahsoka season 2. I did not think the first season was very good. I think it was maybe a little bit better than Obi-Wan, but I didn't like Obi-Wan either. But so this doesn't make me excited about it, but I'll probably still watch it just to see how he does, carrying on the character. So for me, I think this is a win. I think there are going to be some people who are going to be of that thought that, nope, if an actor dies, then nobody should play that role ever again. I don't understand that mindset personally, but I respect it. But I personally think they did the right thing here. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this move? Rory McCann is going to take over for his friend Ray Stevenson in Ahsoka season 2. I think it's both a good move that they did it at all, and I like who they picked to do it. However you feel about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's now for us to move on to the main part of the show, the most important part of the show, taking your live comments, questions, and topics. But before we do, we're going to take just one quick moment here and thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. You know, grocery shopping used to be one of the biggest struggles. Between your busy schedule and wanting to eat healthier, it just feels impossible to stay on top of everything. But all that changes when you discover Hungryroot, the easiest way to eat healthy without the hassles. Hungryroot is like having your own personal grocery shopper. They take care of the weekly shopping for you, recommending healthy, high-quality groceries tailored to your tastes, nutritional preferences, and even health goals. They've got it all: smoothies, snacks for the kids, ready-to-eat meals, and even supplements. For me, Hungryroot is absolutely a game changer, guys. My health goals have become so much easier to stick to. I love how they personalize my cart every week and even get smart about my preferences as I go. It's honestly stress-free and so simple. You're going to love Hungryroot as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea, using the code Campea to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to your comments and questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, we got Quirky J, who says, so what are your thoughts on certain sources saying there are rumors that there was a test screening for James and Superman and it went poorly?
It's bullshit.
Yeah, they always say this stuff.
Yeah.
Personally, I think these are just rumors, and the sources are not great. On a side note, my top 5 films of all time are all of all time. Ghost, Return of the Jedi, Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, the best sequel of all time, and then Jaws, number 1.
Yeah, again, I say this all the time. Just to remind you guys, whenever you see anything that says there was a test screening, ignore it. It's bullshit. Unless it's coming from the studio or the director or the actors themselves. Because, first of all, when these test screenings happen, there are legal documents and NDAs, and people are literally risking their financial and their children's financial futures if they start talking about it to other people. It just don't believe it. It's always bullshit. Like maybe 1 out of every 100 times there's a legitimate thing to it, but I don't care how good somebody says a test screening went or how bad a test screening went. Don't believe it. It's bullshit. What do you think about secret sources quoting other things about rumors about this? It's just all bullshit. Again, we don't know if Superman's going to be any good. I'm not saying Superman's going to be great. I have belief in it, but it could turn out horrible. Absolutely. But I don't care if some report comes out and says secret test screenings. We found out, I've talked to people who saw the secret test screening and they said it's the best movie ever. Don't believe it.
It literally comes out for every comic book movie.
Yeah, just don't believe it at all. All right, what's next?
James Wheeler with a $50 tip.
Thank you, James. That's incredibly generous of you, dude. Thank you so much.
It says, hello, everyone. 3 movies that I loved from the past year that I have heard very few people talk about. The Outrun with Saoirse Ronan. Small Things Like These with Cillian Murphy. And lastly, Out of Darkness. At least 2 of those 3 were very limited release.
Yeah, the Outrun especially. But I did see the Outrun because I love Saoirse Ronan. She's
dealing with alcoholism, right?
Here's the thing. I'll often talk about how Timothée Chalamet is the only person in Hollywood right now poised to have the potential to be the next Daniel Day-Lewis. Like he just keeps getting better and better and better, and he's still so relatively young. It's crazy. And he just gets better with every outing. He's already got multiple whatevers. He's going to have several Oscars on his mantle by the time he's all done. I don't think anybody in the industry today has the potential to be the next Daniel Day-Lewis like Timothée Chalamet. That also being said, I don't think there is an actress on the younger side in the world who has the potential to be the next Meryl Streep as much as Saoirse Ronan does.
She just folds into every role so wonderfully.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know off the top of my head how many Academy Award nominations she has. Actually, I'm going to look that up. Give me a sec. I'm going to take a moment here and look up how many Oscar nominations she has. Give me a second here. Going to pull it up because she's still relatively... Ray, can you look up her age? She's still relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
She's been nominated for 4 Academy Awards already. She got nominated for Little Women. She got nominated for... She's only 30. She's got 4 Academy Award nominations already. So she got nominated for Little Women, Lady Bird, Brooklyn, and Atonement. And she's going to have a bunch more, and she's pretty spectacular. Anyway, all right, what's next?
The Dark Nick says, just got out of Better Man. My God, people should not sleep on this movie. It's really beautiful and a moving story. I was genuinely in awe of the mocap performance, and there's a few incredibly emotional moments carried by great performances. Go see it.
I hate to say it. I'm not going to say anything good or bad about the movie itself because I have not seen it. But I have no interest in seeing it. The whole gimmick of replacing the lead character with a mocap monkey is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And it's actually turned me off from going to see the movie. Again, I'm not saying the movie isn't great. I haven't seen the movie to say it isn't great. But I'm just saying as a film fan, this little gimmick they did, I would have been way more interested in seeing this movie if they didn't do that. If they just actually hired an actor, say this is the Robbie Williams story, that's the name of the guy, right?
Yeah, it would have saved a lot of money.
It would have saved a lot, and I would have been far more interested in seeing it. This gimmick that they're employing totally turns me off from wanting to see it.
You know what I've thought about, like, what, in my opinion, what they could have done was, because I get it. He says he's always seen himself as a little bit less evolved as others or whatever. So anytime he looks in a mirror, the actor should see like a monkey in the reflection. Or if he looks out like the glass of a car window or a hotel room, the reflection is a monkey.
Yeah, and I understand the symbolism.
Yeah.
I understand the allegory and the symbolism. It's just stupid to me. And I watched the trailer and I thought, yep, not interested. And again, because I know there's going to be people, despite the fact that I've already said it twice, are going to run around and say, John said this movie sucks.
No.
Not at all.
It's probably great.
Seen it. I'm just saying, as a fan, their choice of the shtick alienated me. It just made me feel like, I don't feel like I want to go watch this. So I hope it's great. I hope people who see it love it. It's just, I'm not going to use my time to go see it. All right, what's next?
Oh, come on. We got Kraven coming to VOD, for goodness sake. Next.
I ain't got time to go watch no
Yeah.
monkey singer.
Yeah.
I got to stay home and watch Kraven.
Come on, priorities. Mexico Valley says, Hola amigos, Skeleton Crew for me after fantastic first episodes has thrown logic off the board in 6 and 7. It surpassed being for children and becoming childishly stupid, in my opinion. Nonsensical plot points everywhere and or please now. Thank you guys.
Couldn't disagree with you more. I mean, I respect that that's how it hit you and it didn't work for you. I respect that. Your opinion is no more, no less valid than mine. I'm just saying from my perspective, I completely disagree. I've really loved the last couple of episodes. Again, but I will say again, the one thing that does bother me is how insanely short these episodes are. This isn't a sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
It still jumps out at me that I plan all week. I look forward all week to sit down. We set the evening aside. We settle in, and I feel by the time we even open the popcorn, the show ends.
Yeah,
and I really feel like this could have more added to it because you know what? When it's all said and done, how many episodes is it? 8?
I believe so. 8.
This is going to be about a 3-hour, and I'm going to guess when you take away all the credits and all the previously ons and all that kind of stuff, I think you're going to end up with about a 3-hour and 20-minute runtime on this thing. Should have been a movie.
If you're going to wait week to week, you got to give us some meat to sustain us for the next week. Not like, oh, well, that's one episode they split in 2 for no reason.
Yeah, I just, at this point, it really does feel it could have just been a movie. But again, that's my only complaint. I have been loving it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to watching 15 minutes of the season finale.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Your Orlando Informer, one of two. One of my favorite things to do at the beginning of the year is to make a calendar of all the new movies I want to see this year. I go through the list of new movies online, and I'm amazed at all the movies I've never heard of. Like, who knew they were making a movie called Life of Chuch, based off a Stephen King novella with Tom Hiddleston, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mark Hamill, Karen Gillan, Mia Sara, Molly Quinn, Matthew Lillard, and Jacob Tremblay. That's crazy big cast. Didn't hear anything. Well, is it on Netflix? Because that would answer your question.
Yeah, by the way, good for Matthew Lillard, who's been making a bit of a comeback.
I love Matthew Lillard.
I like him. I told you I bumped into him at my buddy's premiere. My buddy had a movie premiere, and Kyle Newman's movie premiere, and got to bump into him there. And the fact with Five Nights at Freddy's kind of causing a Lillard-sance, could we be entering into a Lillard-sance? I certainly hope so. All right, what's next?
I'm thinking it's called The Church, but he wrote Chuch because now I looked it up.
Okay.
Doogie
I
Choo-
like the name The Chuch.
I know.
I like that name. That's a great title. The Chuch.
Doogie Choo says, "Hey guys, as of this message, it turns out Den of Thieves 2 has that's dropped 72 on Rotten Tomatoes. I thought it would be in the single digits. LOL. I may have to check it out. Will y'all? The marketing keeps suggesting not to spoil the twist. I wonder what it is. I mean, I personally am not going to see it, but
I don't have any plans on seeing it myself either. But I remember when I checked, it was like 65. Can you see what it is?
62 right now.
62. Well, okay, now listen, that's not a great score,
Oh, 34.
but it's a decent score.
More than half of them liked it.
Because remember, they didn't lift the review embargo on this until like literally about 2 hours before the movie came out, which is normally a horrible red flag. Now, how many reviews do you say are in? Like 34?
Yeah, 34.
Yeah. So, I mean, that could go, that's a very small number. That number could go up, or I'm going to guess down. That's just a guess. But still, 62 is better than I thought it would be, especially after they didn't release any kind of a review embargo. So
Better start than Kraven's.
it's better than Kraven.
Plummeted right from the beginning.
Yeah, it
Kraven.
did.
Yeah, so I'm actually surprised to hear how high this is. The first Den of Thieves, I didn't even know it was in theaters. I just ended up watching it because it was on TV. I actually enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I
thought
don't
it was
mind
pretty
the
good.
first one.
So this is probably going to fall into the same way. So I'm going to have to wait a couple months then, I guess, for it to start streaming or playing on TNT. I think that's what I watched it. If you guys have cable or still have cable, TNT, baby.
All right, what's next?
We got Love on the Seashore. Thank you to everyone involved in creating the space to talk about movies. I'm dealing with a season of loneliness, and film talk significantly help. I do want to know, who is the most underrated actor for you? Andrew Lincoln brings it every time, yet no awards.
I can't really say Andrew Lincoln is all that great because I've only ever really seen him play one role. You know, and I'm always hesitant about that because remember back when Napoleon Dynamite came out,
Right.
John, what's his name?
John Ritter? What?
No,
No.
not John Ritter. That's Three's Company.
Oh, yeah.
John Hader.
Hader.
See, it's kind of close. Kind of.
Heater, right.
Heater, there we go.
And I remember like he is so good in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Like so good. But he wasn't good in anything else.
He wasn't terrible in Blades,
I
whatever.
Thought
but
he was awful in Blades of Glory.
I think I gave him a little bit of
yeah,
leeway because of that
he
movie.
was such the hot flavor of the month. They gave him a co-starring role with Will Ferrell. And I listen, I can only speak for myself. I thought he was terrible in that movie. Now, it didn't help that I also didn't think the movie was all that good.
Yeah.
But I thought he was terrible in it. So I'm always actually hesitant to say an actor is really good or really bad based on like one main thing that I've seen them in. And so with the guy from Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
He's been in a couple of other things, but I only really know him from that. And so I can't sit here and proclaim that, oh, he's a great actor. I know he's great in one role. I just don't know how great of an actor he would be outside of that. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I'd be very, very interested in seeing him do more. 100%. I just don't know how good or not good he would be in it. I simply just don't know.
You know who I actually really like, but he doesn't get mentioned? He's not the greatest actor, but I find that when I see him in other things, I could start seeing the range. The guy who plays Wong. What's his name?
Well, he's in his name is literally Wong.
Oh, Three Body Problem.
Yeah, he was so good in Three Body Problem.
Yeah, he was there was some toughness to him in Three Body Problem where if the scene was ever on him, I knew it felt like we're protected. Nothing was gonna happen to us.
Yeah,
or you know what I mean. So I like him. Of course, Walton Goggins. I like him.
I don't know. You can call him underrated though. Everybody loves Walton Goggins.
Oh, okay.
Like for me, I've had two names that I always go to, right? For underrated actors. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I know he got an Oscar nomination, but nobody ever talks about Chiwetel Ejiofor. I simply think he's one of the best actors in the world. And then what's the name of the kid again from 3:10 to Yuma and 30 Days
of
him. Whatever.
Foster.
Ben Foster.
Ben Foster.
He's great.
Ben Foster, who just was in this little Western called 3:10 to Yuma with two of the biggest stars in the world in Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, and he upstaged both of them. I don't care if it's the mechanic. I don't care if it's like whatever. He's amazing. He is an amazing actor, and he just never gets the lead roles, and he never gets the flowers I think he deserves. So
I wouldn't say he was just in that though, because that was like 2007.
Well, no, he's done a bunch of stuff, but whenever he's on screen, he owns it.
Hell or High Water.
Oh,
I recommend everyone go see
good in
Hell or
that.
High Water with Chris Pine.
That movie's not near. All due respect to everybody else who's in it, Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, all that kind of stuff. But that movie's not as good as it was if it wasn't for the performance of Ben Foster. Like he just always does it, but he's never the name. So he's always going to be one of the most underappreciated actors to me. All right, what's next?
Brian O'Connor says, so far, my favorite performance in the Dune films is by far Rebecca Ferguson in part 1. She was a revelation to me there. Once I saw she wasn't nominated for any Oscar, I knew the Dune franchise would be overlooked for all acting categories.
Yeah, she was fabulous in that and in part 2. And again, the only beef I have, and it's funny to have a beef with the Oscar nominations when they haven't come out yet, but I know he's not going to get a nomination, and I have beef with it already. Is Javier Bardem not getting a nomination for Dune 2, to me, as for Best Supporting Actor, is crazy. It's absolutely lunacy that he's not going to get a nomination for that. Yeah, just kind of nuts. All right, what's next?
We got Andino, who says, started Shrinking and finished it in a couple of days.
Nice.
Best show on TV right now. Thank you for the recommendation. Thoughts and prayers to those in LA. Stay safe, and thanks for all the great work.
Obligatory daily stump for Shrinking. Guys,
Okay.
It's, if not then one of the best shows on television. You got to watch it. It's absolutely phenomenal television, and definitely check it out. All right, what's next?
We've got Peter, who says, why can't people let people like what they like? What's the psychology behind having to tear down people to enjoy their own thing? Can't we all just get along? Love y'all. It has to do with insecurity.
It's mental weakness and insecurity. And I'll tell you why it's mental weakness. Like there's things I love and things I hate, but even the things I hate, I hope you like it. Like I hated Kraven, but guess what? If you liked it, that's great. That's the art. Things hit us in different ways. That you liking Kraven doesn't discredit me for the fact that I didn't like it. When you see, like, whether it's podcasts or blogs, or YouTube channels, whatever, who literally will attack other people for liking the things they like, that is a sign, number one, of massive insecurity, and number two, complete and utter mental weakness. Because they're not mentally, because they're so, you got to be very, very mentally weak. Because the way they look at it is, I hate this. And if you like the thing I hate, then that's an attack on me for not liking it. Again, it's insecurity, it's mental weakness thrown in there with a pinch of stupidity. I don't get it. Everybody's allowed to love the things they love and hate the things they hate. And there's nothing wrong with that, but why anybody at any time ever actively wants somebody else to dislike a movie? is, again, insecure, mentally weak with a dash of stupidity. It's just one of the most ignorant, stupid things, and it's one of the worst parts about movie fandom. All right, what's next?
Okay, Darth Broca says, I love the Ahsoka show, and Ray Stevenson as Baylan was one of the highlights. He brought a level of class, regalness, gravitas to the role.
Yeah, he did.
Rory is a good actor, and I like this casting. It's going to be tough to replace Ray, but he can do it. And I think because they're friends, too, like John touched on that, to me, it's like he's going to do his best for his friend.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's the thing, too. I don't expect Rory to be as good as Ray in it. Ray really manifested that character. I mean, he really brought it to life. Just as long as Rory goes in and does it justice, right? I don't have to walk away from Ahsoka season 2 going, Rory did just as good as Ray, or he's even better than Ray. I don't need him to do that. Just do it justice. You know, if you can get 80% of the way there, great. Because now we've already got Ray Stevenson in our head in that role, right? It's going to be a little bit jarring for us to see Rory stepping in and taking it, understandably. As long as he just does it justice, and I have all the confidence in the world that he can, I think he will honor Ray. All right, what's next?
Dr. Doomlittle. Where's the
Dr. Doomlittle.
Where's the awards buzz for Naomi Scott in Smile 2? My opinion, it's one of the best, one of the year's best, and she gave a performance worthy too, if not better than Emma Stone in Poor Things, who won last year. Is it because the movie isn't awards worthy?
I would say, look, all film that includes performances in it are subjective. And if Naomi Scott's performance hit you in such a way that it was absolutely engaging, absolutely engrossing, and brought total believability to it, and to you it was just the best thing of the year, that's great. The reason you're not hearing any awards buzz for her, and I am a big Naomi Scott fan. I like her very, very much. But the reason you're not hearing a lot of awards buzz for her is because she didn't deserve it. At least there's a lot of us who saw, and I saw Smile 2 really late, but still, and I'm a big Naomi Scott fan, loved her in Aladdin, man. Loved her in that. And she even killed it in Power Rangers. I even liked her performance in that terrible Charlie's Angels movie. I thought she was great in it, even though the movie itself was terrible. But it was not one of her, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of a lot of people, it was not one of her best performances. And, you know, it didn't really offer her the opportunity to really showcase her acting ability. So I think she did a good job in the film. I do. But she doesn't, in my opinion, that performance of hers does not belong in the conversation as one of the best performances of the year.
And also the studios aren't going to push it, you know, as far as consideration.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be in the talks.
All right. What's next?
Wolf, AJ says, first time doing this, my top 5 movies of 24. Number 1, My Hero Academia. Your next 2, Inside Out 2. 3 would be Sonic 3. Then The Wild Robot. And then Deadpool and Wolverine. I put My Hero 1 because of the momentum. Season 7 was amazing animation and voice acting. Can't wait for season 8.
What's the name of the main character again? Deku?
Oh, in My Hero?
Yeah. Deku?
Yeah.
Does Deku still talk like this? Is this how Deku says all his lines all the time? I had to give up on that show after season 1. Had to give up on it.
So I'm going to read every tip.
Because, like, every freaking time, like, I love the main guy. What's he called? All Might?
Yeah, All Might.
I loved All Might. I thought that was great. And the whole background of all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, I just couldn't take it anymore. Every time the main character talked, it was in a loud, screaming, crying voice. Oh my God. And I'm like, I can't, I tap out, I quit, I tap out. So I had to give up on it. But a lot of people love that show. And I'm glad that they do. And I wish I could have carried on with it. Because again, I love the whole thing about All Might and the all for one and one for all. And that sort of breakdown. I thought there was a lot of really interesting things that I just couldn't take the main character anymore. And I had to tap out after season 1. All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, you know the saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. I have a feeling that sometime after Superman, Gunn is going to quietly fire Muschietti and announce that his next project will be Brave and the Bold. Guessing, but we'll see.
I don't think so.
No.
He's got to focus on running the company.
He's got to relent.
Yeah. You do the first movie to set the tone. I fully endorse that. But now he's got to step back and work with all of his directors like Kevin Feige does.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to step back and work with all of his directors. I certainly do not know that Andy Muschietti, who I'm a fan of, by the way, I certainly do not know that Andy Muschietti won't be there. But I strongly suspect Andy Muschietti is not going to be the director for Batman Brave and the Bold. Like everything that's coming out now, like the fact that him and James Gunn haven't even talked in months, like since James Gunn started shooting Superman, him and James Gunn haven't even spoke, the comments he's been making and stuff. And then we talked about the comment Andy Muschietti made yesterday. Well, as far as my involvement in the project, the intentions are still good for now. To me, it kind of sounds like, and again, I'm just speculating. There's probably no truth to this at all. I'm just saying, to me, it sounds like he's already off the project. They're just not letting it be publicly known yet.
Could be.
Again, probably not, but let's just put it this way. I'm at the point now that I'm going to be mildly surprised if Andy Muschietti actually does end up directing this film, because I honestly don't feel like he will. But I don't think it's going to be James Gunn. I think James is going to pick another director and get somebody on board there and go with it.
And also, to that point, once James Gunn is not taking the lead directly on a film, he's not going to be away for those moments. He will be in direct contact with all these other directors.
Oh, yeah, he's going to listen. Yeah,
actually, the best thing, instead of him trying to do the Brave and the Bold, that just sets a trap of now you're just always perpetually busy. Yeah. Whereas if you take a step back, then you can give the directors the time they need.
But to me, I don't know if that sounds like something that would make me feel confident that the first director he announced is the first one he fires. I don't know.
I mean,
that's kind of a bad look, or at least for me.
But sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I know you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? It would be kind of the same as the MCU.
Right. Yeah.
Who was one of the first directors they announced? They announced
Uwe
Boll. Yeah. But they announced Edgar Wright was going to be directing Ant-Man. And then that just dragged for years and years. And then finally it came out that he was off the project. Yeah. I mean, look, it's not like if James Gunn in the first 4 years announces and fires 5 different directors on movies, then we're looking at another Lucasfilm situation. 1 or 2 here or there every couple of years isn't so bad. I mean, look, the most important thing is you get the right person directing that film that's going to be most aligned with you and your vision. That's the most important thing. And you're right, Ray. I mean, it's not a good look, like so early, if you have to part ways with the director already. But as long as that doesn't happen again, or at least happens very rarely, I think they're going to be okay.
And in the end of things, if it's a good movie,
we won't even remember this.
I don't even remember it.
Absolutely, we won't even remember it. Yeah.
And
but
James Gunn,
I don't think he's going to direct it to make a good movie.
And this is what the positive that comes out of James Gunn, like putting out good stuff, is that even if this happens, I still believe in him more than something like that affecting my confidence in him.
And then we'll see how we feel after Superman.
Right. The track record is sometimes can mean something.
It absolutely means, like, if Superman is great, and we don't know that it will be, but if Superman is great, we're not going to worry about it. Yeah. We're not going to. We are not going to have any worries about Brave and the Bold. If Superman sucks,
with that fat Batman, I'm calling it now. It's not wide, muscular. It's that Batman is fat, and I'm all for it, baby. Come on, James. Give me fat Batman. I'll actually take the role if you want.
It's Paul Walter Hauser as Batman.
That's who it was.
Paul Walter Hauser as Batman, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so we'll see. All right, what's next?
I'm about to take a mud bath. Mr. I, because it was...
I know.
Mr. I says, is it possible, is Ray Stevenson the only unanimously loved Ray in Star Wars fandom? Hope Rory does a great honor to his friend, but that's a big lightsaber to carry on.
I mean, look, it's big in the sense that everybody loved him in the role. It was still a modestly small role, right? I mean, when I think of Ahsoka, all I think about really is Ray Stevenson and Ahsoka crossing her arms.
I think of Ahsoka running.
And sighing. That's it. So when I think of Ahsoka, I think of Ahsoka crossing her arms and sighing and Ray Stevenson. But the reality is, when you add up the minutes, that show could have used a lot more of him because he actually wasn't in the show a lot. So, we'll see.
What I hate the most is, like you were talking about, his demeanor was, I always thought it was so intimidating how confident he was, how quiet. Just knowing that could have paid off into when he really starts a fight, like in battle. Like if he ever went one-on-one with Ahsoka.
Well, he did, and he beat her.
But that was not, I don't think that was just, it was just that. I think he had more. There's more of I don't know. I thought he could do more in like a bigger fight scene. I mean, he had that one little, I can't say that Sith, the blonde little.
Shin.
Yeah, Shin. He had her but a true one-on-one fight, man, I could.
I thought the fight he had with Ahsoka was great. I thought that was a great fight. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Mr. I. Oh no, actually, we're gonna go over to our members because we're already done with tips. Marco says, "Hi John, I'm hoping it was me who put the bug in your ear to watch The Diplomat. I mentioned it a few weeks ago, saying it was like The West Wing, building suspense with people walking fast and talking fast. Season 2 ending with all the agents running out of the house to vice president was awesome."
Yeah, I had a number of people write in and say I should check out The Diplomat. I must admit, the thing that really pushed me over the edge was a clip from the show that popped up in my YouTube feed of Allison Janney walking into the room with the map of the world and her like pointing out like the importance of securing the Scottish naval base. That seems like, wow, that looks really good. And so I started watching it and I binged all 2 seasons in like 24 hours. It was crazy. It's a really, really good show. You know what's really funny? It's just finished the 2nd season. Up till a couple of weeks ago when a bunch of you guys started writing in about it and I saw the clips on YouTube, I'd never even heard of it. It's a great show. It's not as good as West Wing, but it's definitely like in the spiritual family of West Wing. And it's really quite great. All right, what's next?
Majork says, after watching Skeleton Crew last episode, who yells, "Leroy Jenkins," when Wims charges in with no plan? Awesome moment. Loving the show.
I didn't think that myself, but that's a good one. That's still, listen, you know what sucks? This is how long that's been around. There are people who just heard you say that and don't know what it's in reference to. If you don't know the greatness of Leroy Jenkins, just jump on Google and find the old clip. Still one of the greatest moments in video game playing history. But yeah, anyway, the show is just so good and I love the characters and I love Wim. So, all right, what's next?
Joe Hallen says, "Hey, John and crew, hope your day's going okay. My question is, how do you think Skeleton Crew will end, and do you think it will leave off with running into Mando?"
No.
No. Like to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
The only thing I know, okay, so here's the one thing I really believe. I could be totally wrong, but the supervisor, the big boss we haven't met yet, is going to be the pirate. The big pirate king.
I think it's going to be Palpatine somehow.
Somehow, Palpatine has been hiding out there all along. It was Palpatine all along. So I think it's going to end up being the big pirate. I am most curious to see which way they're going to go with Jude Law's character. At the end of the day, because he just straight up murdered somebody in this episode. He straight up murdered a dude, a helpless, unarmed dude, just straight up, boom, shot him in the face.
He had an itch.
What's that?
He had an itch.
He had an itch.
Sometimes you get an itch to do something. You did it.
So I'm going to be curious to see do they give him a redemption moment? Do they say, no, he's just bad? I really do hope they explain his Force connection because he clearly is Force sensitive.
No, they won't.
Was he a Padawan at one point? Was he I don't know. So the only thing I've really got for sure lined up in my head here is that the supervisor is going to appear and it's going to be the old Pirate King. That's my guess. All right, what's next?
Amin says, we're actually going to have the following 3 shows airing in the same time: Daredevil Born Again, Last of Us Season 2, and Andor Season 2. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
That's going to be a very, very busy television couple of months and a great couple of months. I'm so looking forward to all of those. I think it might even be time to bring back the old after shows Might be time for us to do the open spoiler discussions again on one or two of those shows. We'll have to see. All right. What's next?
Let's see. Who did we? Okay, Matt says hello. Hey, John and crew. Is Robert Zemeckis the most underrated director?
No.
I know. Forrest Gump, Back to the Future, Romancing the Stone, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I never see his name mentioned in the greatest conversations.
He's beloved. He's treasured. He does not belong in the conversation of the greatest directors of all time. And by the way, there's a lot of really great directors who've made several wonderful films, but you got to just do more than that to crack in that upper echelon. He's also made some films that aren't so great, but that aside, I think he is respected and beloved, and I think he is not underrated. I think he is perfectly rated. I think he's perfectly rated the way he's rated. But I don't believe he belongs in the conversation of the greatest of all time.
When I think of someone on that level, that tier is like I think of Richard Donner. Very respected.
Yeah.
People love his movies, but no one's going to put him on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
All right. We got Jai CSC who says, which is most likely to feature an appearance by Wong? Captain America 4, Thunderbolts, or Fantastic Four? Maybe at the end Fantastic Four, or... Boy.
Well, I would honestly say that there's a shot he appears in all three.
That's true.
Like even Kevin Feige, like it was a joke, but there was something to it as well. Remember, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, it says it's the Wong cinematic universe. And he's kind of like taken over from Nick Fury being that connective tissue between all the things. Now, the one thing that leads me to believe that we won't see Wong in Captain America 4 at all, even in a post-credit scene, was that at CinemaCon, Kevin Feige came on stage and said, we're not going to see anything that's like multiverse, supernatural, blah, blah. So I kind of doubt they're going to drop a sorcerer in there, but it is possible. Again, I still think there's an outside shot. He literally appears in all three. So we'll see.
That's true.
All right. What's next?
King Daddy Goat says, hey crew, have you guys seen Heretic? I know the legendary Jonathan Voico, finally some respect, but I recently saw it and was amazed by the thought-provoking it did for me. Hugh Grant was an absolute mental menace in this film. I really enjoyed it. What was your guys' thoughts? Is the pie ready?
I finally got around to watch it. It was one of those ones that I was very, very late to the party to, but then everybody kept talking about it, and I did. Especially when Hugh's name started coming up in a lot of the awards conversations. Totally deserved.
I need to see him every year in a movie.
You know what? Okay, look. In the past little bit, besides Paddington 2, which he was a delight in that, he popped up in that little, why am I freezing on the actor's name? Who did Crank? Jason Statham. That little Operation Fortune movie.
Oh, yeah.
He was so good in that. He was so good in that. I loved him in that movie. And then, of course, him playing the Oompa Loompa in Wonka, in which he was like fabulous. I mean, you're going back a few more years now, but even nobody talks about him in Man from U.N.C.L.E. that I also thought he was really, really good in. He just always delivers. And then you give him something really meaty, like in Heretic, and he just kills it. So yeah, I don't think, and yeah, he was great in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot
about that. He was great in Dungeons and Dragons. So look, I wasn't surprised to also see how good he is. I don't think he's going to get an Oscar nomination, but I think he, like all the Oscar and awards conversations he's been in for Heretic, totally deserved. All right, let's do one more today.
Okay, then let's do, because we've covered Callum's a little bit already. Sean Motley says, good day. I hope everyone is safe out there. I'm a little late, but my favorite movies of 24 are Transformers 1, Furiosa, Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, Kingdom of the Planet Apes, and Godzilla versus Kong. I don't have 10 as Dune 2 is a way overrated. Oof, and I disliked everything else.
Just another example that everything is subject to me. Yeah. Dune 2 is not just easily the best film of the year.
That's
I think it's the best for you. I think it's the best film of the last 10 years. I cannot think of a single movie that I think is better than it in the last 10 years. That's just me. I like that you have a couple of underrated ones on there. Again, Furiosa, I still can't believe. I don't think Furiosa is the top 5 movie of the year, but that movie, I enjoyed it so much, and I cannot believe it flopped as bad as it did. And speaking of which, Transformers 1.
Yeah.
That's the Transformers movie I've been waiting my whole life to see. I love Transformers 1, and it completely flopped, which is really too bad, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the guys in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Hey, everyone have a safe weekend. Everyone in LA.
Stay safe. Yeah.
Jonathan Voico.
All right, guys. See you later.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.